So when you look in a mirror, what do you see? Anybody?
My mother.
Susan's jumping ahead of me. But that's good. You start by seeing your own reflection, don't you? And you know, each morning or each night when we look in the mirror, we have to decide if we like that reflection. When I look in the mirror, I see myself getting older by the day. Now, a lot of people worry about that. I just take the opportunity to say, thank God I got another day to do a little bit better. Right? We have to look at ourselves in that reflection and understand what we see. It's a little hard to see, but that's Bethany and Lindsay. Like Susan, Lindsay, as she grows older, is going to look in the mirror and say, I see my mother. And there's Jeanette and the girls. When they look in the mirror, they're going to say, I see my mom. Because you can see that. And I think if we're all true, we look in the mirror and say, where did my dad come from? Where did my mom come from? And when we look at our kids, do you know one of the most common things we see is how they look like us? I look at the girls now and I say, how did you grow up to look so much like your mother? And thank goodness they don't look like me. Okay? But I really want you to just take a minute and think about what else we see, or what else we should see. What if every time every man in this church looked, they saw Jesus? And they looked at that picture and said, is that really a reflection of me? Do I really reflect Jesus in my life? What things do I do? What behaviors do I model? What do I share with people that tell them that I reflect Jesus? And if every woman or girl in the church could look at it and say, do I show Jesus to people in everything that I do? Gives us something to stop and think about, doesn't it? When we look and we see our parents in the mirror, do we just see that reflection, or do we have all of those memories of things that we learned as a child, all of those things that we were excited about? You know, you have a lot of kids, when you ask them, they say, I want to grow up to be just like my mom or just like my dad. And you ask them why, and they say, because this is what they do. This is what I want to do. When we look in a mirror and we see how we reflect Jesus, what is it that we want to show the world? You can see the words there at the bottom, be strong and courageous. It never ceases to amaze me that every time Jesus was faced with a difficult decision, he didn't take the easy way out. He didn't make excuses. He said, this is what my Father wants me to do, and this is what I'm going to do. And that's exactly what he did. When we think about our relationship with Jesus, it can be just like our relationship with our parents. And when we look in the mirror and we see that reflection, we can see ourselves as a child, knowing that we're going to grow up and knowing that we're going to do things like Jesus. Do things the way he wanted us to do them, following the lessons that he taught us, and he continues to teach us. Each one of us has something that we've taken away from our parents or from one of our family members that we apply every day in our lives. One of the things that I'm enjoying about sharing the verses on Facebook is it causes me to reflect and think about a lot of those. It causes me to remember and to keep in the front of my mind the way I was raised, the things that I was taught, but most of all, the things that I've learned ever since about how to follow Christ. So let's remember that we're made in His image. And every time we look in the mirror, we should see His reflection just like we see ours.